guys, today talk about the hypocrisy of the Phantom Menace. More particularly, the hypocrisy about Black Widow. Yep, which Black Widow is the highest grossing movie of the year, which will make the Phantom Menace very angry about that, but it is the highest grossing movie currently of the year. Again, Shang-Chi might beat that. Venom will likely beat that, basically, because again, and No Time to Die may beat that as well. But currently, right now, as it currently stands, Black Widow is the highest grossing movie of the year, the highest selling movie of the year. But tell me about the hypocrisy of the Phantom Menace. First of all, is Black Widow's total gross. According to the Phantom Menace, movies can only make money in the theaters. Yep. Because that's what the Phantom Menace really thinks. Black Widow was a flop because it didn't make $400 million in the theater. Yep, didn't make $400 million in theater, therefore it must be a flop. It must be a failure. It totally didn't make $140 million in Disney Plus. Likely all the money it might make on TV through advertising, all the money it might make through promotions as well, merchandise as well, I have like a Black Widow plus in my room and a Black Widow Funko Pop. So, therefore, that does not count towards any revenue towards this movie. And any revenue that it makes towards digital sales. Any money, of course, any other money it makes on Disney Plus through through subscriptions to Disney Plus as well. And you get the point, okay? You get the point. The movie's box office total is not the final amount of money a movie makes, okay? And the Phantom Menace, they have been complaining about this movie for the past year. Oh, Black Widow merchandise isn't selling as well as Avengers merchandise. Well, again, Avengers is much bigger than Black Widow, okay? I think most people probably already bought Black Widow figures who already wanted one. The character has been around for a decade in the MCU since Iron Man 2. Okay? People had a decade to buy Black Widow merchandise and Black Widow items as well. So, it's like they made another Iron Man movie and Iron Man stuff isn't selling. It's because a lot of people already bought Iron Man stuff with Endgame, Avengers, and stuff. The same thing could apply with Black Widow. A lot of people liked this movie. Except for, of course, the Phantom Menace, which is just ironically, they all hated it. They all hated this movie for some reason. They all bashed this movie, acted like it was the worst movie ever, acted like it was complete garbage. Okay? And yeah, it's their opinion, but it's just ironic that they all hated it. But then when they first started saying, oh my god, this movie looks so amazing. But they all hated it because of, they quote unquote called it a feminist movie, which is just stupid. There are movies that came out over the past year that are far more feminist than Black Widow. Mulan came out, and nobody liked that movie. A lot of people actually like this movie. But now let's get on to the hypocrisy. Next is the comparisons of Space Jam and New Legacy. Okay? And you can put comparisons on the numbers here. And the numbers, you can put comparisons. You can put any movie against any other movie here. Again, the numbers does not really put out the true international total, which is why I use them a bit less. I only use them for the initial box office because they update it far faster than, of course, Box Office Mojo. They update the box office far faster within a couple, by 11 to 12. When the numbers, you have to wait until 4 or 5 or 6 o'clock for them to, or even the next day afterwards, for them to update the total numbers. And worldwide box office is 1.8 times production budget, which is needed to make back its money. And, of course, it made 1.8 times its production budget according to this. According to this, here, it needs to make 1.8 times its production budget needs to make. That's Riggs domestic box office, but it's the same Riggs-wise the worldwide box office, essentially, here. Okay, 1.8 times its production budget of $380 million. Yeah. But again, this movie if we're going to compare this to Space Jam and New Legacy, which is the ironic part, they praised that movie because it beat Black Widow at the box office. It beat Black Widow! Space Jam is the bestest ever! It beat, Bill Gates wins again! That's what they said. They really said and Space Jam: A New Legacy. We're going to talk about Space Jam: A New Legacy. That movie was promoted as hell. Okay, it was promoted everywhere. Okay, if you bought, for example, Chex Mix, there was Chex Mix. Most chips and stuff had Space Jam promotions on it. There were lots of Space Jam promotions everywhere. Okay, we could parody. I bet Warner Bros. Spent far more money advertising Space Jam: A New Legacy because of all the promotions and all the product promotions they put in. They advertised much more money on Space Jam than Wacky Disney advertised on Black Widow, of course. Okay, there wasn't really made much in-store advertising for Black Widow as it was Space Jam: A New Legacy. You would think that by that logic, opened higher, they may beat Black Widow, but it made 31 million compared to Black Widow's opening of 80 million. And Space Jam didn't even pass $70 million yet. Yep, didn't even pass $70 million yet, but Black Widow is supposedly doing worse than Space Jam because the Phantom Menace is always right, correct? No, they're not. The Phantom Menace, they didn't even talk about Space Jam's horrendous second weekend drop. They did not talk about Space Jam's second weekend drop. There was no videos the Phantom Menace made about this movie dropping 69% second weekend. Okay? Second weekend, this movie dropped 69%, and on a second Monday, it dropped 77%. And it was so bad, it's fourth weekend, that they even reported the daily box office. Okay? They didn't even report numbers for Space Jam: A New Legacy. Okay? They did not even report numbers. And if you compare it to Black Widow dropped 68% and dropped average 59%. Okay, I think. Oh wait, that's weekday. They dropped 80% compared to last week sales, but they didn't report Space Jam dropping 77%, and Space Jam dropping on the weekend harder than Black Widow. It just shows the hypocrisy. It shows the hypocrisy. But they'll talk about also the Suicide Squad, but that movie actually did lose money compared to Black Widow. That movie actually likely did lose money for Disney. Not at Disney, Warner Brothers. Not Disney. Disney does not produce the Suicide Squad. But this movie was an absolute failure. It dropped 71%. Higher than Space Jam: A New Legacy, actually. It seems that Warner Bros. Is having flop after flop after flop. Again, the movie might have been saved by HBO Max, but I think it didn't make enough money. Like compared to a movie like Mortal Kombat, which it likely would have made much back its money for merchandising, HBO Max sales, obviously, and of course, Blu-ray, DVD, and on-demand sales. But digital sales is on-demand. On-demand sales Black Widow, like it'll make money on Dell too. So, but this movie. It cost $135 million to make, and like Space Jam, it didn't even come close to $135 million. Yeah, the movie might be a good movie, but I already made a video about this movie, Space Jam, the Suicide Squad like Space Jam, of reasons why it flopped. And you can even compare a movie to like Jungle Cruise, a movie I said time and time again is a flop. But for some reason, Disney is making a sequel to this. Which, again, it might be because it's of merchandising. This movie probably had a huge merchandising campaign because it's Disney, and likely Disney will likely make back its money through this movie. It is having pretty great box office rigs, actually. We actually compare it to many other movies that opened during the pandemic. It opened to $100 million. We can compare it to the highest grossing movies of the year, which they have them here: F9. Free Guy, here, Cruella, and Quiet Place. Quiet Place Part 2, which Quiet Place Part 2 is a pretty good movie as well. It's a pretty good movie, but here is the gross of Jungle Cruise and Free Guy. I think Free Guy is the one below Jungle Cruise, but these are the top 6 highest grossing movies of the year. Right now, again, Shang-Chi will likely pass Cruella at the box office, but Cruella made $86 million. Oh yeah, I forgot Godzilla vs. Kong. made it more money than Cruella. And yeah, Godzilla vs. Kong. And yeah, Godzilla vs. Kong is that one. Free Guy is doing better than Godzilla vs. Kong. It will likely will outgross Godzilla vs. Kong at the end of the day. And this is the top 6 highest grossing movies, at least domestically, not worldwide, obviously. But these are the top 6 highest grossing movies. You can really see Warner Bros. Has 1, Paramount has 1, Disney has 3, because Free Guy is owned by Disney, and, Universal has 1. Okay? And yeah, this is the highest grossing movies of the year, and Black Widow is still number 1. It is performing similar to F9, which again is a movie that the fandom menace praised. That's another hypocritical thing. This movie dropped the same as Black Widow on a second weekend, but the fandom menace praised this movie. That's the ironic part. The Phantom Menace praised both Space Time New Legacy and F9, the Fast Saga, despite dropping the same domestically as, Black Widow. So, it just further proves that these people are the Phantom Menace is just a bunch of hypocrites, and Black Widow didn't flop. Goodbye.